There's a version of you that walks into rooms and scans the room first. What do they need from me? What do they want to hear? How do I come across as credible without coming across as too much? I know that version. I used to be that version. And I want to talk to you today about the moment that I stopped and also what happened on the other side, because what happened on the other side is the most freeing thing that you can experience. I'm Yasna Borza, private advisor, executive coach, and today, just someone being honest with you about something I don't talk about enough. Let me start by describing the performance because you might not even know that you're doing it. And performance and trying to fit in and mold looks something like this. You may soften your opinion right before you say it, just enough so no one thinks that you're too much. Or maybe you give extra credit to someone else's idea in the room, even when you know that yours is so much better, because you don't want to seem egotistical, right? You agree with people that you know are wrong because you don't want to ruffle feathers. Maybe you even smile a little bit too much. And gosh, we as women especially do this almost all the time. You may also explain your credentials or over explain them over and over again. Maybe you make yourself a little smaller, maybe a little warmer, maybe a little bit more digestible. In Minnesota, we have a name for this. We call it being nice, not just any nice, Minnesota nice. I call it betraying yourself. Here's what I didn't understand for a long time. Softening yourself to please others doesn't make you just likable. It makes you trust yourself less. And that performance of sorts costs you even more than it earns you every single time. And for me, performance came from a very specific place. I came to this country as an immigrant. I grew up during the war. My father was in a concentration camp. I arrived here and had to figure it out. And I did. But somewhere in that figuring out, I picked up the belief that the way to earn your place was to be palatable, right? To be way polished, just not to be too yasna. So I learned to soften the accent, not literally, I still have it, you can hear it, but in spirit. And I learned the language of the room. I learned to be humble in the Minnesota way, which sometimes means pretending you know way less than you do. Maybe not dressing up as much, not being direct. I softened the feedback as to protect people's feelings. I said yes to meetings I didn't want to take, etc., etc., etc. And all of this worked, right, for a while. I built something real and people hired me. I got in the rooms and I made connections. But the truth is that I was exhausted because there is nothing more tiring than managing the gap between who you are and who you're pretending to be. And then for me, something started to crack. And it happened over time, not in just one moment. But let me walk you through what that actually looked like. It started with a few particular things. First, I started hiring so-called experts, people with the titles, the followings, the polished decks, people who I thought knew more than I did. And I would sit across from them thinking, I know more than this person. And not from an ego perspective. I didn't say it out loud. Like it wasn't arrogance. I just trusted myself. It was like from accuracy. I could see the gaps. I could see the performance. I could see the house of cards holding up another house of cards. And I started asking myself, are these, if these are the real experts, what does that make me? So that was the first kind of like aha moment or even a warning sign. And then I also got close to the people that I had really put on pedestals, names that you would recognize, people I quietly looked up from a distance. And when I got up close, they were unkind, very often dishonest, and hollow in ways that I really did not expect. Impressive from far away, but it was nothing up close. Instagram is full of this right now, an entire economy of performance. People building brands on top of borrowed authority, so much of it fake. And we look up to that and then compare ourselves to it. And then I kept watching and I thought, this is not what I want to build. And at the same time, I started working with clients at a completely different level, people who influence economies, people who run things, and they trusted me, like really, really trusted me with decisions that mattered, big decisions, decisions that I still to this day can't believe that I had any say in. And something happens when someone at that level takes your advice and the thing works. You stop asking for permission to believe in yourself. That was a really, really, really big thing for me. I also started making some mistakes along the way, real ones. And each time I learned that I was still standing, that I actually knew what I was doing, that, the version of me I'd been softening was, in fact, the most powerful version in the room. One of my favorite sayings in the world. My dad used to say it, and I still say to this day. It's a saying in Bosnian, and it goes like this: "Uzdaj se u se I u svoje kljuse." And roughly translated, that means trust yourself and your own horse. Rely on what's yours. So I stopped relying on the performance. I started relying on me. Best decision I ever made. So let me be specific, because I don't want this to be an inspiration talk that just doesn't land. When I stopped performing, here's specifically what changed. The clients changed, not just the level, the dynamic. When you show up as exactly who you are without apologies, you become magnetic to people who want exactly that. The right people find you faster. The wrong people, they self-select out. And to me, that's not a loss. That is a gift. And then the feedback changed. I started saying the sharp, true thing instead of the softened version. And because for me, meant being direct and being blunt, I was still kind, but I wanted to say the truth. And people trusted me because they could feel that I wasn't managing them. I was actually telling them the truth. And you'll be surprised how many people just want the truth. And for me, the exhaustion stopped. I cannot overstate this one. The energy it takes to maintain a performance is enormous, and you don't notice it until it's gone. So when you stop, you get that energy back. You walk into rooms differently. You're present in a way you couldn't be before because you were not spending half of your bandwidth managing the impression or how you come across. Then the money changed. We want to hear that, don't we? Because it wasn't because I asked for more, because I expected more. I trusted myself, and quietly and internally, the way kind of you expect things when you know that your worth isn't up for debate. So my performance was costing me. I was constantly making myself feel small. I just didn't realize it at the time. I thought I was doing the right thing. So right now in this moment, I'm talking to a specific person right now. You're listening to this. You're building something, a company, a brand, a career, a life that means something. And you are playing smaller than you are. Not because you're weak, because you learned somewhere, just like me along the way, that taking up too much space is dangerous. Maybe you're a woman who was taught that confidence reads as aggression. Or maybe, like myself, you're an immigrant or the child of immigrants who learned that you earn your place by being agreeable. Oh gosh. Or maybe you're a founder who's watched enough LinkedIn content that you've started to perform a founder instead of being one. Whatever the version, I want you to hear this. The softening is not humility. There's a difference. There really is. Humility is knowing what you don't know, and softening is hiding what you do. And the world does not need another polished, palatable version of someone who could have been extraordinary. So I want to leave you with 3 questions. For me, these are the important questions that you can really sit with. You can kind of like drive around with them. You can, take your time with them because they might offer a breakthrough that is so incredibly important for you. Question number 1. Ask yourself, where are you performing right now? Whether it's your business, your relationships, your brand, And what does that performance cost you every single day? Really, really think about it. Think about it. Where are you not yourself? Okay. The second question that I would ask is that what would you say, do, or charge if you stopped asking for permission to be exactly who you are? What would you go for? Like, what deal would you pitch on? What company would you buy? What would you go after? Those are the things that are really, really important asking. And three, a really important one, what's waiting for you on the other side, right? Not the risk of stopping the performance, but the reward. What becomes possible when you walk in as yourself? Because I'll tell you what's on the other side from my own life. It's clients who feel like partners, work that does not deplete you, a reputation that's real, built on what you actually are, not what you performed, and a version of success that doesn't require you to disappear inside it. That's what's waiting. Uzdaj se, usej u svoje kjuse. Trust yourself. I'll see you next week. If this episode hits something for you, share with one person who needs to hear it. And if you're building something, you're ready to stop playing small, you know where to find me. This is Rise to More, and I'm Jasna Borza.